Hi, welcome to another episode of TakChek or PekChek.
I'm Weiren.
I'm Nicholas.
And we are an education lifestyle podcast where each week we discuss a topic and we decide whether or not it's interesting, which is
TakChek,
or frustrating, which is
PekChek.
okay. So for today's topic, we are going to be talking about something that happened not too long ago. Is the DSA or the direct school admission exercise for the P6s. Okay, so Nicholas, maybe you can explain to us how the DSA system works.
Okay, so the DSA system itself, all right, this is again from the MOE site, all right, quoting on it. It seeks to broaden the recognition of talents and achievement beyond academic grades. So we have one segment when the students are done with their primary school, so P6 moving on to secondary schools. The P6 can gain direct entries to certain secondary schools based off their talents in sports, CCA and other specific academic areas. And all this is to be done before they take their PSLE examination. All right. So fun fact, but before I give the answers to it, do make a wild guess, all right? For DSA, for those students who are already accepted to DSA, do you think they have to choose their school again after getting their PSLE results?
Wow, I imagine that they won't have to, right? Because if they accepted the DSA already, then they won't have to choose their school again, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So they are actually not allowed to choose for their schools after they have obtained their PSLE results. And that is pertaining that they actually obtained their DSA entry. Yeah, I think something here that we can just want to have the scope being placed out here is what are the kind of talents that is DASable. I don't know if that's just quite a new word.
DSAable.
DSAable. All right. Okay, so we first have sports and games. I think that's pretty common. We have sports like basketball, badminton. I think all of the common sports within all schools, you can use it as DSA, right? So visual literacy and performing arts. So we do have choir, band. I do believe there's also the category of angklong. Do you know what's angklong?
Yes,
the
wooden
instrument.
Yeah.
Yep. And debate and public speaking. I think that is a little bit more niche already. I think it's starting.
I think it's picking up though. More and more schools are holding debate. Have debate clubs now and
even at the primary school level.
Oh, for primary school definitely not. More for secondary school.
Yep. Yeah. And science, math, engineering, language and humanities. Uniform groups is pretty common.
Yeah.
Okay, so this where it always strikes me as how do you use uniform group as a proxy for DSA?
I think, as primary school kids, there are some uniform groups that they allow you to join, like Scouts, Boys Brigade, Brownies, I believe. I'm not sure if Guides is a thing in the... I think for Guides for primary school, it's going to be Brownies.
Okay.
Right, but I do believe that once you hit P5 and P6, you take on leadership positions.
Okay.
So you can DSA into the secondary school for a fast track leadership or guaranteed leadership position.
Okay, so it's not as infantile as me thinking that is how well they march or how well they how much push-up they do.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
And I do understand as well that some people, this is from my secondary school kids, they tell me that they DSA into the JC by telling the school that they will confirm join the student council. They DSA into student council.
Okay, so they DSA in, but are they a counselor in the secondary level?
I think so, or they hold a high-ranking position in the uniform group.
Okay, so this itself will be related to the last talent, which in this case is going to be on the leadership.
Yeah,
correct.
So one thing about the DSA that I personally feel is a little bit ironic, right, is that on one hand, you are trying to deviate too much from like your academic performance. But on the other hand, I see two categories here, which is the student's ability in science, math, engineering, and language and humanities. Personally, I feel that this is a little bit contrary, don't you think?
I think it is contrary, but the data for this year, there's a record 16,000 primary 6 students. They actually apply for direct school admission just for this year. And this was from a recent 5th September Straits Times article. So while it seems your concerns that you raise are actually valid, but I think the sheer number of students who are applying, and mind you, 16,000 apply, but that doesn't mean 16,000 got it. All right.
Yes, yes, of course.
So DSA itself in each schools, all right, varies from school to schools, all right. But from the grapevine, we do hear that schools actually only allotted maybe like 5 to 10 seats just for DSA application.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're looking at oversubscription. It's like our HDB, oversubscription. You're gonna have like 300 units, and then there's like close to 2,000 people that's vying for it.
But I think partly the sheer record number of people entering or applying for this DSA, I think partly because it is also the Dragon Batch.
Oh, okay.
Of kids, because the Dragon Batch is like a bumper crop of people of students every year. I believe this time round, based off Straits Times article from 2018, it mentioned that the Dragon Batch had like 40,000+ students.
So the numbers are proportional, I believe.
So you can see how popular this DSA is, because this means that about more than a third of students are applying to DSA. Trying their luck at DSA.
So the DSA program, it was actually first rolled out in 2004. So that is actually a tenure of around 20 years already. I mean, if given that this go to
exactly 20 years, right? Yeah.
So there was only 7 secondary schools that has at that moment also began to introduce their various integrated program, IP programs.
Yes.
All right. So over the years, the numbers has definitely grown. All right, JCs and 141 out of the 148 schools involved this year, they all have their DSA program. So you can see it was just a small batch, and now it has really just ballooned to a huge number from say. And I would like to take this time for us to just critically think that this DSA program itself at this instant here, have it helped or had it actually caused parents more frustration? In terms of like, I want to, again, coming back to the HDB balloting example here, if you're near to your parents, you get allotted another chance and all. So have this DSA actually make parents more worried in terms of like, am I uncovering the potential of my kids fast enough, and am I having the time and the financial ability to hone them quick enough such that it has reached the level that can be used as a DSA tool itself from there? So no doubt, all right, when we talk about the pros of DSA itself, I think parents does now have more choices. It means that academic itself might not be the only surest route towards getting to the schools that you desire. You could use a particular spot into the school that you actually want to, and that is through the DSA route. So various schools actually try to differentiate themselves in terms of the talents area that they offered. So I can see a bit more variety nowadays. I mean, from the classic swimming, basketball, badminton, all those kind of niche sports. We did mention just now that there was things like debate, leadership, and all. They have actually expanded the perimeter of what are DAS above. I don't know if I get that term correct again.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning just now though, I do feel that one or two of these fields are a little bit weird, because to me, like the whole idea behind DSA is to shift the focus away from academics. But then at the same time, there are fields such as science, math, engineering, and language and humanities, which you also add in, which are innately like academic related subjects. So I don't know. What do you personally feel that this is a bit strange?
I feel that there is, of course, the deviation away from academics, but having the science, math, and engineering, but I think it panders towards students who are academically inclined. All right, I mean, related to our previous podcast on GP program itself. I think this maybe forms a smaller subset. They are not in the GEPable primary school segment, but yet we are giving them different areas in their life to slowly develop their talent.
Or maybe it's because one of they're very strong in, let's say, language, but maybe they are terrible at math.
That could be the case, because GP, I once again believe the accessibility of GAP is a more all-rounded thing. But now if I can just DSA using science, math, or engineering, which is really just my particular pinpoint kind of a strength itself. But I will want to, just recollect this whole idea of DSA into the whole idea that when they actually get the DSA and admission date, they got it itself. Do you think that the students itself in the new school, they will actually have a little bit of a burnout. Because quote unquote itself, when they are moving over, all right, based off DSA, they are to remain signed on to their CCAs, all right, and that's throughout the entire tenure of their secondary or their JC years. So if let's say you are, again, I'm using primary 6, all right, as a proxy. Let's say I'm an AL10 to AL12 student, all right, and if I were to enter into a secondary school, which is actually more catering towards students who are sub AL10, all right, they're like AL5 or AL6. The caliber of what the school is trained to educate, you know, is radically different. Because please maybe enlighten me. If let's say you're entering a school based off DSA, does it really remove all of your academic responsibility?
Oh, of course not lah.
Of course, so you still have to go through the rigor of the academics. So my first little talking point here to you is, do you think that there will be a certain degree of burnout?
Yeah, I think over the years, you and me, we both teach secondary school for a very, very long time already. So I think we've encountered a fair share of students who, especially those students who DSA into an IP school. So they enter this IP school, and then really the school is really pushing them to fulfill their criteria in order to be promoted to the next level for IP. So you know the IP program, they try their best not to bump people down into like the O-level
track.
Yeah. So I can see that these students genuinely that they are very, very stressed. And I think for these students that there is no way out lah. And on top of that, academically they may not be able to perform to that level of rigor that the school wants. And on top of that, the school also is forcing them to go for competitions lah, go for training and things like that. So my heart feels something for these kids lah.
So in a way, if let's say we are a parent, I mean you're a parent, your boy's in primary what?
Yeah.
Right. Eventually the DSA thing might be on your mind, looming around your mind, P4, P5, P6. Do you think that if we are selecting a school for the DSA admission program, the parents itself should try to go for a school that has the interest of the child, but also try not to go for a school that causes the child to punch above their weight? You don't want them to be like, you know, again, you are trying to mold your kid into a certain moniker. I want to go to a brand name school, all right? Because it has the DSA spots that I want to, but it also brings along with it all of the prestigious labeling and all from that.
I think at the end of the day, this boils down to like individual parenting style lah. Personally, for me, I treasure holistic education. So if I feel that something will cause my kids to go down a path and tunnel vision them right into a very, very specific niche, in general, I will try to avoid that.
Okay.
So I will try to develop other aspects of my child instead. For example, if my child I know is very, very good in academics, I'll just try to push them towards sports. If I feel that my child is very good in sports, I will try to push them more towards like more literary, more academic sort of CCAs.
Let's just say that your child did actually go through DSA, or for the listeners who your child actually went through DSA. My child is not at that age yet.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious if the child, TakChek, all right, actually retained during their tenure in the secondary and the JC, are they obliged to continue their sign-on responsibility?
I believe so.
So if I'm a JC1 retainee, I have to play for the school for one more additional year.
I believe so. So I think this is the thing with JCs as well, right? The JCs have I'm not sure if I'm going to be inciting some sort of I don't know, personal attack here, but I think it seems that the JCs have every incentive to retain all these very excellent sports people, right? In order to keep them for
one more
year, so that they can play all these tournaments and whatnot with them and win all these awards.
In my personal walks of teaching, alright, I do encounter students who actually got retained. They are through DSA in JC. They got retained, and what happens after that is that they still are unable to get promoted out of their re-JC1. And as a result, the school was asked to expel them. All right, because they are supposed to be able to have one more extra try, and then after that,
Yeah,
you are supposed to move on from there.
unfortunate lah.
And at the point of time, you are a sportsman, and now you are left without an institute. You have to go to a polytechnic. Or
Yeah,
you
and then
have to
that's like 2 wasted years, right?
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think especially if you're a gentleman, then with the whole NS thing
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
along, I think there's quite a bit of a big
Yeah.
detour. All right. So diverting our attention over here, let's talk about the selection process of DSA. All right. So each schools have different selection process over here, and applicants in general have to be able to demonstrate their talent, potential, and passion through their school track record and online DSA application. So I think if you are a P6 student and you are to go for a numerous number of DSA trials, and I do believe that it's a gated trial. You don't just go through one trial and it's a yes or no binary event. I think you have many layers of filtering. So maybe if you're secondary 4, you're a bit more mature, your mental tenacity is going to be much more robust. But as a primary 6 student, you already have PSLE looming on the horizon. And now if you're going to go through different number of interviews and only to wait with bated breath and for them to say, no, you're not accepted, and you're going to keep getting whacked down the ladder by all this disappointment. Do you think there's a little bit of a mental or emotional scarring at a very young, tender age?
Of course. But I think I don't know. At the same time, parents could always use this as an opportunity to teach students a lesson or their kids a lesson in how to handle failure as well, right? Because this, I think, apart from the PSLE, I mean, because this takes place even before the PSLE as well. So I feel that this is like really their first shot at something which is so life-changing and life affecting, and if let's say they don't get accepted into the DSA, I think the students will have to deal with that disappointment, learn how to deal with that disappointment.
But if the child was already naturally aligned with the DSA sports or the DSA category that they're going with, to them it's like, it's fine. I still enjoy doing what I'm doing. All right. But truth be told itself, all right, in 2016, Member of Parliament Dennis Phua actually quote unquote said that it's an open secret that children from a more affluent background stood a higher chance of benefiting from the DSA program since they can be nurtured from young in the arts sports.
At which point we have to ask ourselves, is it truly a meritocratic sort of system, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you drill deep enough anywhere on planet Earth, I'm sure you can find a pocket of oil and everything. So there's more chance, all right, for affluent background for them to sign up for introductory courses to niche CCA. So we can be talking about swimming, table tennis, but what about CCA or external category like golf, public speaking, Toastmaster?
Yeah.
All right. So these are very niche. I mean, I'll believe that we are middle income. All right. I will not necessarily send my child to things like pole vaulting, triple jump, and all. So
I think most schools will have facilities for this lah, but maybe I think a bit more atas CCAs like golf lah, water polo, right? So these might be a little bit more hard to break into.
But it's just a little bit of a feeling that we cannot avoid or deny that there's always a socio-economic hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, born in a different family, the amount of disposable income you have for you to send your kids and everything. But this DSA thing, don't you think that it just further widens
the socio-economic gap, right?
Yeah. So, and I mean, MOE, I will believe, is not oblivious to this thing here. So they are, I believe they're trying their best to not make people feel like, hey, you know what, they don't want you to feel disadvantaged. All right, if you do not have the resources, they'll try their very best. So they are actually very transparent about their selection criteria. They are trying to be more transparent, and they have also set up this thing known as the Junior Sports Academy. All right, so do you like to take me through on what's the Junior Sports Academy?
So apparently it's to allow selected P4 and P5, so they're pushing the age even earlier. So selected P4 and P5 students to undergo a 2 years of non-fee paying coaching in a variety of sports, which I think is a very, very good thing, because I think you can nurture talents, and because no fees are involved, right? This circumvents the whole more affluent families paying more for renowned coaches to coach their kids, right? So this program will be conducted from SEM 2 of P4 all the way to Sem 1 of P6, where they will be exposed to a total of 4 different sports during this period. Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you think it's a good gesture?
Yeah lah. So it's a good gesture, but of course, affluence allows such exposure at an even younger age. So we are trying already. The schools are trying to push the age down to
P4, P5.
P4, P5.
Alright.
So don't you think that the kiasu parents will go
They will do it at
even
P1
earlier?
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
And also, I do not have the specific of this entire junior sports academy, but do you think that the ratio of the trainers to the student will not be as favorable as a personalized one? Yeah. So I think if you're affluent, you can get more individual coaching.
Yeah.
And all from there.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm speaking with this of a recent article that was actually, I don't know if you heard of the basketball coach. It was under probe for allegedly charging parents a fee to get their children into top schools.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was actually dated on 26 July. It predates the 5th September, 16,000 students DSA. Right, so this one is actually still, it's all still under investigation. So they did mention that there was a tip-off from a member of the public that there was this coach identified himself as Mr. Lin, L-I-N. All right, he coaches pupils at several primary schools, and why not you guess how much he charged these students? It's an exorbitant, sell a kidney, sell a liver kind of a price here. We're looking at a whooping 45,000 to 50,000. All right, okay. And it's dependent on school, and to help the child to secure a spot. I believe this is true using basketball as a DSA.
Feels like we're in the wrong line, right?
Yeah, we should be taking basketball 45,000 to 50,000, and this is not a guaranteed, all right. And it's not clear what schools the coach has managed to get their students into. I don't know what kind of track record and all, but I think that when there's a demand, then there will be a supply itself from there. But yeah, a whooping 45,000 to 50,000. Again, all these are still under investigation, so I will want to see. I will closely watch out on this case over here.
I don't know if it's in our nature as Asians, right? And as Asian parents, to naturally want to try to game the system, to make use of like either finances or connections in order to try to worm your way into the DSA school of your choice.
That entirely also encompasses parenthood, right? You want the best for your kids, right?
Yes, of course. But we've seen this kind of dynamic happen in like the GP lah. Now we see in the DSA, right? So I think this begs the question: should parents be actually making DSA an aim, right? And how do we help the kids and the parents for that matter cope with disappointment in the event they do not?
Wait, help the parents cope with disappointment.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I think the parents invested so much resources, and sometimes the parents are actually more disappointed than the kid.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. To be honest, if I were a primary school kid, right, and if my parents really like push all these hope and dreams on me, I don't know. When I was a primary school kid, if let's say I don't make it, then to me, I'm like, okay, lor, whatever.
My primary school years was very much true. The only thing that my parent or my mother actually sent me to was actually a art class lah. Wow. But it was not for DSA. It was just like just a natural interest kind of thing. So do you feel like going down using DSA as an aim to try to get kids into school itself, does it dampen the kid natural interest? You ditch it for practicality. It's like, hey, you know what? I know you love XYZ sport, all right, but you know what? That's not going to help for DSA. Can we now pivot over to ABC sport? Because that is the one that has a practical value. There's an intrinsic value of helping you get to school.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is one thing. It's like sort of like the hot housing sort of situation that we mentioned last time, right? Really, you try to hyper focus the student to meet this particular criteria, but because you hyper focus, they lose interest.
Yeah,
I actually have a friend who studied so much violin, who played so much violin when he was in primary school, and then when we all went to secondary school, right, I asked him like, hey, can you play the violin for me? He refused to touch the violin ever again.
So it's an aversion to violin.
Yeah, he has an aversion to violin already. So, but I mean, he didn't learn it as part of DSA lah. Just to be frank.
Just like a natural.
Yeah, but it's just there's a natural aversion to it since he trained so hard for it.
But even saying that now that violin is too mainstream, it's too basic. people have actually, or parents have actually decided to pivot their child away from instrument like violin and going towards things
Maybe
like
it's something that's less mainstream.
yeah.
Right?
So we're talking about cello, we're talking about erhu. So more artsy fartsy kind of an instrument, not like your violin, viola, and all.
Yeah.
And if again you're the most suitable to discuss about this. So at which point will you try to think about DSA for your child and adopt a spray and pray mentality? Let's go for 100 different kind of prep schools and see which one your child excel at. Like, do you think that is also a right kind of strategy? You don't know what's your child talent, then okay lah, we go for many different kind of lessons until we find what's the talent of the child.
I think if the child doesn't display any sort of specific interest, I think at that point the parents, this is just a personal opinion. I think at that point the parents should just consider that maybe DSA is not right lah, not suitable for my kid.
You are more towards a child-led kind of direction. So
Of course. I think at the very beginning, of course, if the parents want to nurture a specific skill like piano lah or violin lah, I think I feel that DSA shouldn't be the means. I'm sorry. I feel that DSA should not be the be all and end all. Right? It should be more of like, okay, let's teach the child this particular skill.
So if let's say this whole DSA thing is going to be a go-ahead for your child anyway, or even for the audience child who is going through all this, wouldn't you feel a little bit more appeased if, let's say, during this whole DSA trial portion, apart from, of course, definitely you want to sense the aptitude, the technicality of the child's ability to perform in that DSA category, do you think that there should be a different kind of a test? All right, I'm not an expert in this kind of testing to kind of sense what is the general interest and passion for that said category. You might be fantastic. Truth be told, when I'm teaching chemistry over here, I always tell my student, I definitely hope that I can hone your passion, your interest. All right, but if I can teach you to answer a question and you get the set mark, the full marks for the question, I think that I've done a huge portion of my job. If you do love it, I think that's a bonus. But in this DSA portion over here, do you think that there should be a segment of the test, of the trials, that kind of test? Yes, I know you are proficient in badminton, but are you really truly passionate in badminton? Are you truly, have the kind of general interest?
At the same time, passion doesn't mean awards, right?
Yes, it doesn't mean a what. You
So
could be a
the
passionate
school-
sportsman, but yeah.
It works against the agenda of the school lah. If let's say you have somebody who is very passionate but then cannot win any award, I think aptitude also factors in quite a little bit lah.
So then shouldn't there be an overlay of this Venn diagram? I have a good interest, I got a good aptitude. Okay lah, so I select those that's overlapping. The
yeah
reason-
I think who's not to say that the schools are doing this at this point in time.
Because I think fair to say that we can use this as a litmus test, just to really find out if during those crunch time in different semester of the school, they have examinations and then it overlaps with their sports category. Could that general passion and the general interest in the sports actually help to minimize burnout? Because you know what, if I love badminton so much, again I'm using badminton as an example here, then when I go and play my sport, I take it as a de-stressing mechanism.
Yes. Distract you away from like the academic work that you have to put in. Right? Yeah.
And my DSA now then doesn't feel like it's an obligation. All right, it's like I go there, I play, I chill. Winning awards now becomes like a side effect of my passion. So I think that this whole DSA thing, I think it's going to be here to stay.
Yes.
All right, and also with the revamping of GP, I think it's also for here to stay. There's just now more routes for students to get into the schools that they want to. So let's talk a little bit about what do we hope, or at least what we individually hope as to be the future of what DSA could be. All right, personally for myself, I want to go on with this whole idea that we really train our own homegrown athletes. We fly our own flags, and do we have the courage? Again, I'm not in the ministry, all right, but do we actually have the courage that I identified this person from young that he has a general aptitude towards a sport? All right, I extract him or her from mainstream, and I actually devote specialized resources just to train them on their expertise. All right, it's a very bold move, I have to say, because you are generally going to teach or minimize their academic exposure. right? So maybe they are going to have a delayed O-level taking, a delayed PSLE taking, but we actually use this extra years to help them to hone their edge.
I think that's indeed it's a very bold move. I feel that most parents in Singapore are a little bit too practical lah.
So the education
accept
has to be
this,
an
right?
insurance, you know.
Yeah. Personally, I do feel that the DSA program is all right. But I personally hope that just like this junior sports academy thing, more safeguards can be made against parents who actually try to game the system and then try to really push their kids to do things that they may not be interested in lah. Yeah.
But this whole future of DSA thing is quite a big paradigm shift lah. I mean, if we really hope that this actually comes into fulfillment, I think that this is it's just the worrisome part that in the future, if let's say the ministry or in fact comes up with anything that is similar to DSA. So let's say we have GP, we have DSA, then let's say now we come up with a new scheme called XYZ. Then does that mean that kids at a younger age, they have to stretch their 24 hours over a bigger
right.
period of time lah?
Yeah, we can't stop parents from ever being kiasu. I think it's something that has been
Very much
around
ingrained.
since time immemorial already.
And I think, as you mentioned, it's being aggravated by our identity as Asians. You want to really want to
Asians, not Bajans, right?
Yeah. All right. Okay. So so where do you think that today this topic on DSA admission? All right. Do you personally feel that is this a TakChek or a PekChek event for you?
Personally, I feel that this is a TakChek topic for me because I feel that generally DSA has fulfilled its role in allowing students to get into schools that they otherwise wouldn't have to by deviating away from just that one single PSLE score, right? So people are not just hyper focusing on that one single PSLE score already. Yeah. So I personally feel that DSA is generally a good thing, and I think in its current form, yes, it's not perfect. Some minor tweaks can be made, but I think it's okay.
More on the TakChek.
Yeah, more on the TakChek.
Right. For myself, I am also on the matter being a TakChek matter.
Yes.
All right. Although I'm a little bit more encouraged here because I hope parents now start to think of course, we still have the top tier of parents and students. You know, they come together, they want to go into a brand name school, the DSA. But I am looking at niche cases whereby me as a student, I want to go to a school that's near my house. All right, but my AL cutoff, I cannot make it for that school. Whether it's a brand name or whether is it just like a normal secondary school. All right, but having this DSA allows me to go to a school that is nearer to me as well from there. And this is a bold ask, but I'm just hoping that DSA itself should not be very like ultimatum. Oh, you know, I have to grind it out. It has to be a drone and grind and beat. So I whack the metal until that, you know, they're in this particular form, you know, just to be in the DSA. Like, I hope that it is more student-led. Although I think that in primary school itself, it's difficult to be student-led because the kids, maybe they're not mature enough. But I think once you're in the secondary school, I think that the students should have a greater say so that you empower them such that any decision that's being made, if they're regrettable on that, I mean, it's their own decision. They learn from all this. From there. We'd like to hear from more of you, how you think about this whole DSA mechanism, and whether if you are a parent that's listening, if you have some personal experiences, we hope you can share with us from that as well. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.